Hi, everybody. We're getting ready to start the day on the 21st of November, 2021. So let's just be with our breath and be part of a greater reality than what we're normally aware of. We'll start at the bottom of the hour. We have 1 minute to go. We'll begin the call. I'm in Ostinal, Costa Rica. I actually decided to put my YouTube on and actually video the scene that is behind me. And really, because the more every minute of every day, I'm clear that there is some human beings. I am among them that are receding, which might not be a word that people would find flavorsome, but it's actually a really good word for these times. I'm receding from the abyss of human insanity, and you could say that my journey here was to establish myself and, of course, others, since groups of human beings, not groups of human beings with organizational names, but collective groups of human beings often gather in field phenomenon to be part of a template, a particle field of consciousness in their flesh. And you could say it's very much like the Celestine prophecies, soul groups that seem to be being extricated or have found themselves extricated from a nightmare. I'm almost curious to go back and read it again, because I don't remember if it was a large group of people, large soul groups, or small soul groups. They don't have to meet together. They don't have to belong to a organization or a guru. even if they do. It's more a template of consciousness that Celestine Prophecy and the 10th Insight actually portrayed quite well. It's one thing to read about something. It's another thing to live it or exist in it, or finding it existing. I don't think we have the right preposition. Sort of when you feel your flesh and you feel there's a you inside your flesh, or maybe even that your flesh is you. Sort of like that, except it's 3 very specific words: resonant, geopathic, cognitive, 4 words, I guess, intelligence. We've always held cognitive to be the mental mind, what we believe about something, or what we perceive something to be, how we interpret something. A while back, I almost stopped doing the realms of the beloved. It was just too hard. It was too hard to watch human beings lost in human beings. It's like watching people drowning and reaching for others who are still swimming and drowning them too. Don't mean to be harsh. But the earth, if you take time, wherever you are, whether you're in a busy city and you walk out into the park, whether you have plants in your apartment, whether you're where I am, which is still a very nature active paradise. Desert of New Mexico is still a very geopathically active natural paradise. Doesn't seem to be the same conversation. Survival's inbuilt in this ecology of shared oneness. Give a little, get a little. Go out of existence, come into existence. Collapse, expand, deconstruct, construct. Very innate, very organic, very natural. So I almost stopped doing the realms of the beloved because I foresaw, which is true, less and less people would participate. And I didn't really want to confront the heartache of that. My whole life, I was very, well, since I saw the movie The Last Man Standing, we could say that's when it came to words, although I'm pretty sure my whole life it's been an upset for me. This idea of being the last man or the last woman standing, I found offensive. Because human beings are symbiotic species. They're meant to be in unity with themselves, each other, in life, all life. And I didn't want to miss that experience. It's probably why I came in my personal evolution. And then there's this song by Shanae Loan. It says, "Who do you think I am?" It's the name of the song. It's not me asking you that question. And in that song, oh good, the YouTube at least is going to pick up on the howling monkey who's starting to verbalize his yawn. And but part of the words of that song are, if I go that way, am I the only one? And I can really see how for humanity, lost in its worries and concerns and fear of futures, and especially the devolution, that is actually an innate part of an evolution. It's both and. We devolve to evolve. Certain systems go out of existence and new systems can come into place. Mindsets dissolve so that the particle field or the neural fabric of the brain can rewire itself to fit what's rising. I also know when I say new futures rising, we think of new human futures rising. But it's a new unity of consciousness rising, unified field of a collective consciousness, cognitive, aware, vital, alive. And there are humans that are seeding that. They can't help themselves. They find themselves there. It wasn't egoic, or sometimes it's not even about survival, since it even looks like survival's at risk to take that chance, to go for that. But here I am with you. Because right after that happened, I got, I think, right after I said that I needed to see if there was a population of human beings, like 50, that we used to have here, to 100. If there were enough. But then I'd done the very thing I'm talking about today. I'd made it all about human beings. That was never what the realms of the beloved was about. The realms of the beloved was about my time in an open mic, you could say, with spirit. And just frankly, I prefer it to being a minister or a guru or a holy woman or a teacher or any of those titles. I just didn't want to be alone with the preciousness of life. I wanted to be with others. And it's been going on a long time. This used to be Spirit Hour. Then it became the realms of the beloved, because I'm sitting here in Ostinal, Costa Rica, and their greeting is Pura Vida, pure life. It's a blue zone. You can feel it. It's remarkable, really remarkable. You can feel it in your skin, your muscles and your bones, organs. And my beloved Shifu Eileen, my Tai Chi teacher and friend, and my beloved Summer, her partner, support person, who operates the business of the Body Balance Academy, and also a midwife. They gifted me these 10 days, for a good portion of it, with no requirements on my part, and no need to attend the retreat or the immersion that they're providing here. So haven't attended. So today I thought, I think I'm on the other side of probably a loneliness we'll all have to go through at some point. I imagine you may be in a loneliness as a small group or as an individual, but human beings love human beings. We decided to be a human being because it's a shared field experience. It's not an isolated, egoic, between the ears experience. I just don't think the loneliness is bad. I seem to be song oriented today. I think I'll take some time in my own immersion to maybe list these songs when I post this on Facebook. I'm sorry, I post this on YouTube. Because all of you on the call today are going to get a video of the call. I'm going to have Christina put this audio into the video and so that you can be here, truly be here with me here as a thank you. But there's another song by Buffy St. Marie, and it goes, I'm not an oak, I'm a willow, now I can bend, and if I never in my life see you again, here I'll stay until it's time for me to go. So here I'll stay. Every third Sunday of the month. Here I'll stay. Until the mother says, come. And then I'll go. I think I was wondering before I did this call today, I thought, how can I ever do this call today? I'm so in the silence. I'm so feeling my physical form as a particle field that is sort of oozing into the earth and oozing into the horizon and oozing into the ocean. Really not human at all. Not even a state of being. And that word geopathic, it's such a harsh word. It's like empathic. It's earth sensitive, earth sensation, earth magic, earth presence in the molecular atomic particle, flesh, matter, substance of form. But on our WhatsApp thread, we have for the field of Tantra Mat, people really presenced in language and sweet drooling, not like drooling water out of your mouth, but that sweet, beautiful, slow flow of consciousness that touches every word and every letter tenderly, not wanting to use the mental mind's present conceptual constraints to tamper with something that we're so present to, including myself. And I could feel that geopathic unification of human and earth across the world, simply anchored in Ireland and New Mexico, Africa, Australia, Italy, England, Topongo, Trinidad, Costa Rica. It was just enough to wire in the whole planet responding to us. You could say grabbing us deeper, digesting us. It's beautiful. It is beautiful because I can always go back and read it again. Magical. A couple of us are travelers, so it's a little bit like taking a brushstroke across the earth, touching the cultures we find ourselves in, almost like a painter blending colors to make art, the art of life. So I will be faithful, probably a few of you too. And every third Sunday of the month, I will sit here for almost an hour at least in the realms of the beloved, like an address, like a point of gathering, like an ark. Because it's necessary. It's necessary for the survival of human beings, part of the paradise of creation, to be absorbed back into it and be reconfigured. So many human beings have been taught to fear creation, to fear our bodies, to fear ourselves. I've been doing a practice in Art of Living. It's a breathing practice. It's one of my last pieces of repair is my vagus nerve. And this particular, what they call sky breath, has results, has statistics about restoring the vitality of the vagus nerve. So I have been doing that. And so I listened to the Ravi, who's their holy man, their teacher. I listened to this introduction he was giving, just to see what he had to say. I'd never been around his words, or I've really been in it for the breath, you could say. And this young man said that one of the quotes that has stayed with him when he was talking with Ravi was about what's the most important thing for me. What is the, but not only me, what's the most important thing for human beings? And his response was, save your mind at all cost. We also know from a technical point of view that David Hawkins' work that it only takes a few to be Pura Vida, Vida, Pura Vida, to see the whole new world. Not to judge others, it is so condemning to the human psyche, to the personal psyche of a human being, to make others wrong, to make themselves right. It may not look like it. It may just look like point of view. It is deadly because the concentration is in comparison. Like the minute you say, I'm not that, you've now hooked your foot in it. You're now in the dual world, the either or world. You've now said, because I'm not that, that exists, and that exists so I can exist. Rather than I am this, regardless of anyone or anything else. For me, I am this. I don't have to prove it. I don't have to change myself. I am this. The wonder and the glory of being real. Real to oneself. I don't know if you can hear the ocean. I'm just going to be silent for a moment and just open up the speaker for a minute. See if you can hear the ocean. It was quite loud last night. The way the room I'm in is situated is kind of a sound chamber. So out here it's very quiet, but in that room, in that corner, it catches the ocean. It's like you're literally in the sound of the waves inside the room. It's where Sarah Harper and I stayed before. I was really hoping to someday be able to stay here alone, really. So I could immerse myself in the wonders of creation here. So I'd like to just sit in the silence for about 5 minutes, if that'd be okay. Just be in the stillness of consciousness. See if a transmission can really occur with the flesh, with the spirit, with your consciousness, so that you can return to your soul, even in a biological manner. So I guess I have some questions. We'll just take some pauses for reflection in our inquiry of next. The first one is, what do you hold to be real? For you, not for life in general. For me, I hold what I hold to be real. Yes. And if you don't know what you hold to be real for you, you might want to figure it out. And then the next question is, do you hold, is that consistent in your thinking? And what would it be like to train your thinking to only think what you held to be real? And if you were persistent in thinking things are real that don't make you feel good or make you feel connected to life, sometimes you don't feel good. Why? Is it the emotions? Is it the feelings? Is it the feelings and the interpretations that come with them? Is it the self-debasing thoughts that are bound to come up? You can't. The interesting thing about a human being is we're conscious beings. We would think nothing. I don't know if anybody's ever walked out into the ocean and had to navigate seaweed. Had to navigate walking through seaweed so you didn't get it caught on your ankles or your legs, and it's really grimy and sticky and yucky. But we think nothing of avoiding seaweed. But this part of the personality of a human being that identifies their thoughts as thinking about them will get more and more dangerous as time goes on. It's part of the nightmare. I remember, it was probably quite a while ago, when I was I was saving my mind to have it become a gourmet meal instead of like our beloved Kevin, our res dog, a delight in trash. Oh, and plastic. Can you imagine? A diet of trash and plastic. It's what our thoughts sometimes are. But in the Celestine prophecy, he really makes a good case for, while we can gather in groups, we can become part of a active soul phenomenon, soul culture of consciousness. We have to do our part too, our personal part with ourselves. And it's pure science, really, or maybe pure magic. Science and magic aren't that far apart. Because literally, your soul group cannot bring you into resonance with the soul's culture of consciousness that's rising if you aren't resonant with it. In other words, you don't bring a plastic trash dump, a toxic waste into a healthy garden. So it might be valuable just to watch every I coming out of your mouth, or in the privacy of your own thinking. It might be valuable to consider that your consciousness is at the effect of a nightmare. And you don't have to believe a nightmare. In fact, you can recognize a nightmare and know that you'll wake up. It's not going to be there forever. And why do I have these conversations on Sunday morning, every third Sunday of the month? Because it's the one time I've made a date with the greater powers and forces of creation to inform them the struggle of human being. And in that, elicit their support for each one of you on the call, as well as for myself. It's so interesting to me. I am in between worlds right now. I don't mean human worlds. I'm in between what we might call depths of field, the VDW, the breadth, depth, and width of existence that gets broader, deeper, wider. Ravi called it when you can contemplate and comprehend reality in all its forms. And it causes a displacement of I. It's been very, very cool recently. I've now been in at least 3 conversations in 3 different environments with people who don't work with me all the time and who have been in other environments very distinct from the environment I work in, not the environment I exist in, but the environment I work in. And there was one thing in common in all 3 of those conversations. It was so juicy because we knew that the conversation we were having was not the real conversation we were having. It was like doing our best, like being in a foreign language and not really knowing what we were trying to communicate, but we could feel what was trying to communicate underneath our chat, our good talk, like a new resonance, a new template of mind, a new template of consciousness. And all 3 times, this is just recently, one was my taxi driver, my van driver, David. He didn't speak, he spoke English. If I spoke slowly, he could respond. And we got into that conversation about, he even said it, he said, with you and I, there seems to be another conversation going on that we can't communicate with words, but the words, the fact we're seeking to communicate, and we're moving in some kind of, he called it ecstatic communication with each other. I mean, really, honestly, his music was like my favorite dance music, with heavy, heavy drums. We had 2.5 hours. We were jamming, and then every now and then I call a Kodak moment, and we'd slam on the brakes of the van. And I have to get one of them out. It's on my Android. This is my iPhone I'm on, and I haven't figured out how to get it posted. But it's basically the Brahma bulls in a pasture. The first time I got to see the ocean, where I was going to be going. He's the one that stopped, so it was him. And then Summer, Eileen's partner, the other day, yesterday, she's about a mile from Turtle Lodge where I was staying. And the day before, my phone didn't receive any communications, and I only had my shake, and I thought I'd go to the market, walk to the market, and it was very fun because Bar, who is the one of the people that runs Turtle Lodge, female, adorable. She said to me, so I asked her how far the market was to walk, and this really interesting thing happened in time and space, because how she told me, which I completely misread, she told me how to get to the path to the ocean. There are 2 paths to the ocean were near me. And then she walked me back to the market. But I heard it as walking past the 2 things. So I ended up at the gate that leads up to where Shifu and Summer have their place. And then walked all the way back and saw the market was closed, and bought fried bread and cheese, which was not on my eating plan. And oh God, I went and sat on a wooden makeshift bench under the gorgeous tree on the beach and watch the surfers, and then kabwhammy, lightning and thunder, wham, and suddenly a gully washer, just like in Ireland, where you just feel like this, you're under a bucket, continually flowing bucket. But it was beautiful, so I'd walked all the way back and had no food, so I had said, I just could use one banana. I can make it with one banana or a banana a day and my shake. I can do this. This is good. And every now and then I'll go get fried bread with cheese if I need to. So all of a sudden I get a text from Summer. She says, I'm walking to you. I'm bringing you your bananas. So I went on the road and we met, and then we walked back, and we were lying in bed talking, and all of a sudden she made this statement, which, don't worry, it's inside this communication that is bellowing, coming out of the solar plexus. It's gurgling up from the solar plexus, like the belly laugh. Only it's really a solar plexus laugh, like the belly laugh that you know you've hit pay dirt, and you know you're in the song of the soul, another song. And she was talking about what she was dealing with and logistics and things she was having to sort out because of an unusual mix of people coming. And she said, and then I was just sitting there, it's like a mile away. And I said, I know how to sort myself. I'm going to take Tantra her bananas. And then we just roared. We just couldn't quit laughing because it was clearly the solution to everything. Clearly. But it was coming from this resonant, geopathic, cognitive intelligence that's just starting to gurgle into human conversation. And it reminds me of the matrix of reality. The one thing it says is that this topic of the conversation does not matter. The new system of love, it says, the new song of love is coming through the communication itself, not what we understand about the communication, but by being in conversations, not really worrying about if they make sense or not, just the desire to share space, share language space, share talk space, not talk about space, but what I'm present to space and what's present to me. Don't forget that. What's present to me. In other words, what's aware of me. My next conversation, my next question. What do you think is aware of you? Mm-hmm. What do you think is aware of you? Could you possibly believe that the divas and right as I said, the crickets started cricketing behind me. Dog starts barking. Wind starts blowing. What's present to you? What's listening you? You won't be able to get this out of your mind. Here comes the wind. The wind's my totem. Come over here a bit so you can see the environment. That was to the YouTube. What's present to you? What dances with you? What cherishes your reunion with it? What holds you to be so precious that knowing that you recognize its connection with you again is paradise. Or are we too dulled down? Open mine eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast for me. Open mine eyes, illumine me. Spirit divine. And I'd like divine not to be the cosmology, not the cosmic divinity, but more my friend from LA, a mini guru, who used to say, it's simply divine. It's simply divine. Magical. Can you feel your belly or solar plexus? When I say that word, it's all going to happen there. That unity point is right there in the solar plexus, not in the head. It's where the so above, so below of self comes in union with itself. It's what keeps the fire in the belly, the magic, the passion, the ecstasy, the intimacy, the peace. Love of my life, I am crying, but I am not dying. I am dancing. Dancing along with the madness. There is no sadness, only the song of my soul. And I will sing this song. Why don't you sing along? And we will sing for a long, long time. It just occurred to me that one of the things I was excited about today was about getting a video and an audio of all the sounds here, because it's loud here. Birds and monkeys and wind and ocean. It suddenly occurred to me that everything has been so quiet. I mean, literally so quiet. And yet right before I sat down, I was in a zoo of sounds. I find that so interesting. Don't you? So interesting. And then I'm also looking on the video, which I'm recording to put together for you. I wonder if you can hold still enough, be quiet enough, silent enough. If you can be DW, can be in the breadth, the depth, the width. I wonder. I had two dreams. Well, I had a vision. Now the wind's starting up. I had a vision and a dream last night. In the vision, it was a group of people, many of whom I knew, not everybody. But we were on this, I don't know if you ever did finger painting on a sheet, on a white piece of paper, butcher paper. But the entire landscape was a white sheet, you could say. And we were all standing on it in various places on the sheet. And we had these paintbrushes, but the interesting thing about them was with different colors. But the interesting thing about the paintbrushes is depending on what you were going to brush stroke, it would either get gigantic, like a highway brush, or it would become so teeny you couldn't even see it in the person's hand, and you could barely see the brush stroke on the white landscape. And I was standing watching. I had looked up and I was watching. It wasn't like I wasn't part of the artfulness of creation. I just took time to look up. And I knew I was being shown an infrastructure, not an infrastructure of doing, an infrastructure of being. So this word infrastructure probably should be intrastructure. Was exciting because anytime something starts to manifest into actual physical existence, there's an infrastructure that begins to become real. Declaration of Independence in the United States of America was an example of that infrastructure, an idea whose time had come, and yet they were painting the future, the possibility of a future, not establishing the present. But I'd been talking with two people about this yesterday, Heather Hunt and Summer Ujin. It was fascinating to be in the mind of it because it's a state of being. It's a state of being, a soul culture, moving as a one soul species. And this dream was about that, or this vision was about that. And as many of you, including myself, are going through, we don't know how to do this. We don't know how to do what we're feeling rising because we have to be what is rising. We have to be the brushstrokes. But the brushstrokes moving in a coherent, cohesive, congruent manner with others, in unity with all life, and life in unity with us. The most clear thing out of that, the two conversations I had and that vision this morning, the most clear thing was that we'd lined up with creation. Creation was the big sheet, and we were responding to it like it's artist. And it was fun and sweet and pleasant and delightful, and the joy of being together, creating, not to have a purpose or to produce a result or to save humanity, or to be together on behalf of infrastructure and seeing what might occur. It was so real, so beautiful. And the second was a dream that lasted a long time. And I only remember I remember the whole dream, but the part that matters the most is there was an old woman, probably younger than me, because I don't feel old, so I get a little confused. But her son had mortgaged his house so that the gate for me to get to Lily would stay open. And so Lily could get back here when she wanted to, my dog. And I woke up from that dream. These in the matrix of reality, these are the things that matter right now, these so above, so below interactions, these engagements of so above, so below. Not a human being isolated from creation, but a human being being reformatted again as creation. So I want to thank you for our time together today. I will treasure it. I'll probably treasure this more than anything, because even the activations is me activating the subterranean consciousness of humanity so that the infrastructure of the internal nature of creation in human being can rise again. I'm not even sure anybody needs to be present. They're good juice if they are, but this is us. This is us on behalf of all life, letting ourselves awaken into being, the infrastructure of being, and the culture of soul, not to be advertised, not to be a new ploy for humanity to seek salvation or be saved by. None of that. Just, do you want to play? Because you'll know if you do, because you will. Namaste.